God. Ask God.
Hey Scott, this is David. I'm a long-term listener and doer from Northern Ireland. I love the show. This is my second question actually, so thanks for your help previously. A quick question today regarding split testing. And what volume would you look for before you would consider running a split test? My main product gets about 50 to 60 sessions a day and converts at 12 to 15%. This is in the UK, so volumes are much less than the US. I know 50 sessions isn't a whole lot, but it's okay. So I'm keen to start testing some variables, but I know that volume is the key to statistical significance. Would you want to see more volume than that? Maybe I should concentrate on traffic right now more than conversions, but I would love to get stuck in and do some testing. So my question is, do you think it's worthwhile testing variables with only 50 sessions per day? Okay, thanks again, Scott.
Hey, David, thank you so much for the repeat question, or the repeat guest, that is. Yes, this is the second time that you've made the show, so I want to thank you for that. Thank you for being a longtime listener as well. This is a great question. Now, you have 50 sessions per day. Now, people that are brand new and they don't know what that means that that's how many visitors we're getting to the listing. That's how many eyeballs we're getting on the listing. All right. So that's 50 people or 50 sessions. Okay. So just to kind of clarify that for anyone that's new. Now, when you have traffic, and I think 50 is great. I mean, it's 50. I mean, would you like 100? Yeah. Would you like 200? Yeah. So should you be working on getting more traffic every single day? Yes, of course, especially if you're converting at 12%. Well, if you get an extra 100 people to show up at that page, that's an extra 12 sales if they still convert at 12%. So a lot of times we try to figure out like, what are all of the products that we can launch versus how do we optimize what we currently already have? I think it's really, really smart if you can focus on those things. Now, with that being said, I think you have enough traffic to start running tests. That means what's going to happen is when you have 50 sessions, you're going to have those 50 sessions that day showing one thing, and then the next day it shows something else, and it just keeps flip-flopping back and forth. That's why they call them A/B tests, because you have version A, and then you have version B, and then you kind of use that to gauge how it's converting with different elements that you're changing. Most of the time you're changing price. Sometimes you're changing an image, which I think I had Greg Mercer on not that long ago, and we talked about split testing. And I'm actually going to direct you to that resource. The resource that you can go to, and there's actually some downloads there on split testing. There's also a statistical significance calculator free that's there as well. He does have a tool called Splitly, which that's there. If you want to go ahead and test drive that, you can do that as well. But there's also some split testing 101 stuff, some hacks and things that he's put together for the TAS audience. So if you want to check that out, I strongly advise you doing that. And that can be found at theamazingseller.com/Splitly. Full disclosure, yes, I'm an affiliate. Yes, I earn a cup of coffee if you end up deciding to use that software. But it's a great tool to do this because you can set it and kind of forget it and then come back and let the traffic kind of tell the story. And it allows you to kind of flip-flop back and forth without you having to manually do that. And he talks about that even in these reports, that in order to do it properly, you have to do it at the exact same time every single day. So it's really important that you do that. With only having 50, which I say only, it's still good, but by having 50, you're going to need to wait a little while. And I think your question was like, when is there enough? There really isn't one set rule, and that's why statistical significance, that's a hard one to say, by the way, statistical significance calculator, that will also help you do that because it'll take some of those other metrics and figure it into the equation. But if you weren't going to be using a tool, I would say, usually like 1,000 sessions would be like a good chunk of like visitors that are seeing that offer. Now, if you have 100 sessions a day, that's only going to take 10 days, right? And it's pretty simple math. If you have 50, well, it's going to take 20 days. Now, I'm just throwing out a number there. In my own head, it's like 1,000 sessions. That's a good chunk of sessions, right? Like that's 1,000 different people seeing something and then reacting. But there's also a lot of other factors that come into it. The day, right? It could be the certain time of the day. It could be certain days of the week. That's why you want to let that run for not just 2 days and then decide. Even if you had 500 sessions a day and you got 1,000 in 2 days, that wouldn't be enough data because you didn't give it enough time. Usually, I think even Greg had said like 14 days is like the minimum that you want to let a test run. But again, that is going to depend on your traffic and all those things. So I think at 50, you're going to need to let that run a little while. If you increase your traffic, then obviously that can, make that time go down a little bit. But I would say you're at a good place. Let it run, give it time. I talked about in the beginning, the beginning of this podcast about how we want to do something and then let it sit, be patient with it. Well, that's where this comes in as well. You have to be patient when you're doing a test like this. And I think by being patient and putting something in motion like this, it can be really, really rewarding on your end because you can discover things that you never would have known if you didn't test these things. All right. If you want to test your price point at, let's say you're charging $19.97 right now, and then you bump it to $23.97, and you all of a sudden find out that $23.97 converts higher for some reason, you're making more money and you never would have known that if you didn't run that test. You're just assuming. Don't assume. Let the numbers speak to you. Same thing with sponsored product ads, the same thing. You have to be patient with this. So I think you're in a good place. I would give it at least 1,000 sessions or again, like up to 14 days. I would strongly recommend anyone that's thinking about this, and I think that everyone should be thinking about this, is definitely go check out those resources, theamazingseller.com/Splitly, and just download those and kind of understand split testing, but then also use that calculator, even if you're not going to use the tool. If you want to automate this thing, then I definitely strongly recommend using the tool. And then this way here, you can just set it, forget it, look back at the data, and then it's going to let you know. It's going to let you know the winner, and it's going to let you know the one that did better. And then you can just keep improving upon that. So I definitely think it's smart to be thinking about split testing. Well, hey there. Thank you so much for listening to that episode of Ask Scott. Now, that was just a highlight from one of our full episodes where I generally answer 3 to 4 questions on a podcast. If you want to go back and listen to all of the past archives of not just the Ask Scott session, but all of the full episodes where I do interviews with top Amazon sellers, people starting from scratch and building a business, if you want to listen to any of those episodes, head over to theamazingseller.com and you can find all of that over there. You can also find details there on how you can ask your own question and get it aired on an upcoming Ask Scott session and possibly see it here on YouTube or just on the podcast. All right, so definitely head over to theamazingseller.com. There's tons of resources over there for you to be able to build your e-commerce and Amazon business. So definitely go check that out. Now, I just wanted to remind you one thing before I let you go. There's a lot of information out there and some of it is really, really good. What I want you to remember is you have to not just consume the information, you have to actually apply that information. So take this information that you learned here today and apply it to your business. And this way here, you can get results. As my shirt says, I wear it almost daily. Take action. We'll see you guys.